What is up, everybody? How are y'all doing today? We're about to get started on the show, and I just wanted to say a couple things right off the get-go here. If you're here and you're watching this as a playback later on, there will be a time-stamped comment below that will skip straight on into the calibration section, because I've got a couple things I'm going to go through before that, and then we're going to start on that. So just note that. Now, if you're here, thank you for joining me today. Please do me a favor by first smashing that like button for us so that the algorithm knows. I also sent out a tweet. I will share that in the chat in a second. And if you are on X, please repost that. That would be fantastic. If you want to share this video anywhere else on the internet, that's cool too. But while I get things ready, I'm going to switch over here. I've got a special clip from the archives to show you. I think you're going to enjoy this one. So, besides that sweet Buick, what else have you got to show me, Steve? Besides this wall of amazement. Guys, what? Sync Master, huh? Wow. You guys want one? 96, baby. That's awesome.
This is a recent Facebook Marketplace find for 20 bucks. Oh, it had the worst dust bunnies imaginable in the back of it. It's got the, there's your adjustment controls on the rear of it.
It looks so good.
It's like that big, the green digital channel indicator on there. I love it so much.
Awesome.
This thing's a monster down here. It'll cap out at, I think, 1600 by 1200 at 85 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, that's a massive one, dude.
360 running on it.
That's crazy. I bet that one's a fun lift.
Oh, I don't know how the stand still exists for it, because that thing is just unbelievably heavy.
Yeah. I like, these are all just little Magnavoxes, and the Qs are. Man, these look so good. You've been working on them. You got a little, there's your RF. It's looking pretty good, though, man. Oh, there we go. The 1390. 1311?
Yep, 1311.
Okay. See, I don't even know my own stuff anymore. It's been such a weekend. Another nice wood grain Mitsubishi.
I bought that at a tag sale. Oh, this clip is...
I just did it. I just got him triggered.
A nice towel that I got gifted from my friend for the display here. Running HD Retrovision cables on it. And honestly, I kind of want to take it home with me because like that looks really good.
Whoa, it does look good.
The Toshiba that you liked from last year with
the
hidden remote.
I want to dance. It's so good.
And when it pops up and says you're watching a Laserdisc, you are. I'll show you the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more fun to maybe see what's going on behind the scenes here. Oh, you have all this hooked up, dude. Oh, haha. Let's see what what's Oz.
Want the parting of the curtain?
Yeah, here we go. I think I went ultra wide accidentally on the lens, so go ahead.
So this was sloppily put together of, hey, it's working, let's just leave it.
Yeah.
There's a Laserdisc that's working. All of the consoles themselves are the real things. They're just running on attract mode.
Yeah.
Just have random games in it that play on an endless loop. As far as everything that's playing video, it's basically, I took like VHS rips of different stuff that I thought would be interesting to look at. I burned them to DVDs. And then just
man has his plan. Look at that.
I love, my favorite on here is because I have the list of all the cables and whatnot I need for everything. For the Vectrex number 8, nothing.
Oh my goodness.
You can see all the DVD players from the other side too.
Yeah, we'll look over there. I love my VCR.
And the Panasonic microwave AG500.
Yeah. This is so great. So this is where all the power's gone all weekend.
That's why all the lights are going on and on.
Yeah, this is why I can't get a good signal down the road. Excellent. Oh my goodness, so nice down in there, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. They're just like $5 DVD players I buy at thrift stores.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
dirt
cool.
cheap. It works.
Right.
It's got DNC connectors.
Yeah,
on
I
the back
saw
of it,
that,
too.
man. That's pretty sharp. I bet somebody knows that
I've been messing around with it.
Sync Master. It's actually not as deep as I thought it was going to be. Super deep.
I'd love to use that as like my main PC monitor, but it's so freaking huge. I can't fit it on my desk.
Oh yeah, it is huge.
Wheel rack with some really heavy casters on it, specifically to have something like that next to it.
Well, there you have it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man.
I'm blown away. I don't know which is cooler. Steve, you got a channel, don't you?
I don't. You'd think I would, but it's like I am so short on time to do anything.
Oh. There we go. Hey. So I wanted to stop there because Steve actually does have a channel now, and it's called Steve's Assorted Stuff. So it's got a lot of cool CRT stuff. I'll see if I can't get a... I don't know if the chat will let me do tags here. Let me try to do a link over to his channel if that'll show up. Throw that. And suddenly Bob appears. That's right. No royalty checks today, Bob. Sorry. I'm going to just use you for a couple seconds, you know. Show I got some friends somewhere. Anyway, Steve has a really cool channel, and that was a clip from his video wall that's set up at the Retro World Expo, and it's pretty darn awesome. Anyway, you can go show his channel some love, and I'll have him come on and talk with myself and Zez, of course, whenever Zez gets done traveling the United States. Give him pep talks. So welcome in again, everybody, today. Thank you so much for showing up. Vaporwave, welcome. Zero Sleep, good to see you. PO17, awesome. Thank you for being here. Shamanian, I'm not sure how to say that. Welcome in. Hey there, Race. Aroni. Dark Black, welcome in. John Jimenez. Nathaniel, Robcat. Always great to see you here today. It is Monday, and I'm going to get into this awesome variation of the M series PVM, which I actually have not personally worked on yet. And, well, I mean, besides obviously this one. But before this, I really don't think I had worked on this. I worked on some other earlier series PVMs that were from Japan and later series. So this particular variant eluded me. So I have to give a special thank you to my friend, the 8-Bit Esquire, for sending this PVM over, I don't know, over a year ago, I think. Anyway, he gave it to me as a gift, and the thing didn't really work at all. You know, it didn't work. So I couldn't find the footage of it not working, but I did have to go in and recap it. All the deflection capacitors were replaced, and what else did I replace? I replaced all the deflection capacitors, the power supply, 90% of those capacitors, and then the neckboard capacitors, reflowed a bunch of solder, the normal good stuff. And yeah, it doesn't have a light up on top. So there's no tally light. You're right. Good call, Race. You could see that from that far. You must have better eyesight than I do. So there's not that. This model doesn't have component video support. It's an interesting one. It's kind of stripped down. No, it still has a 600 line tube. The other one that I had worked on last month was a 1455 QM, which is just the medical variant, Japanese variant of the medical variant of the model prior to this, the 1355 or 54Q, something around there, similar to that one. Hey, Ronnie. So the cap kit's the same. It's an M series cap kit. If you're on Patreon and you need that cap kit, it's on the Discord important links channel tab, and you could just go on there. I've updated it and added. It's got almost the entire deflection block in there at this point, I want to say. So it's very complex and thorough, but man, it really just hits up and clears up almost every deflection issue that you run into with this CRT. Okay, so first off, there's what would you know? There's some other questions about it. A D terminal. Let's see. We'll have to move the camera around a little bit, but again, I'm going to show you some capacitors because you can see once I show them to you, you'll be able to see exactly why the set wasn't working. So pull it a little closer. There's really nothing. There's no terminal or anything on the back of that at all. There's just nothing but what you see. It does composite, S-video, RGB. The interesting thing is, even though it's from Japan, it's got the power supply that will go into other regions fine. At least US is close enough, but it's fine with this. No problems there. I don't know about 240. I'm not going to tell anybody, or 220. Let's see. I don't really know much else to say about it besides it was really unworking. I did just change the capacitors, and I haven't done any adjustment to it. I've been letting it get plenty of warm-up hours on the new capacitors. So, yeah, let me show you. First off, maybe I could I'll pull up the capacitor kit for us to take a look at together. You just have to look around behind my camera and open the capacitor kit. And then I'm going to show you also, which I can go ahead and set that up. I'm going to show you what it looked like on that. Let's see. First, let me get that. I'm going to show you what the caps looked like that I pulled. Also, another update. I did order some on a different note. I ordered some of the G1 modification kits or upgrade kits. So that's a secret mod that's been going on around behind the scenes, and I wanted to order some. I ordered 3 of them. We'll give that a try coming up soon. Okay, that's ready. Let me go back over here. And I'd like to get... not exactly the one I was looking for. Okay, let's do this one. So, with this camera view, I can pull the camera down and show you these capacitors. And for those of you that are regulars to the shop, oh goodness, of course I shouldn't have done that. You'll know this camera gives me troubles when I move it. So, just like that, we'll try to reset it. But what I wanted to pull up over here on the other screen, which I'll work on right now while you see that, is this capacitor kit list. So we'll pull that over here, pull that up there, do a kind of zoom in. Whoops, not that one. There we go. So let's see about this. What's going on with you, sir? Okay, there we go. Let's activate it. There we go. We're back online. And good to go. Let me flip this. And we will be good. There we go. Okay. All right. Back in business. So here's the full list I've compiled so far of capacitors, even with variations to capacitors. And you could tell that we're up to almost 40 deflection capacitors on this list. I mean, I think by the end of next year, it's probably going to be every single deflection capacitor there is in the whole CRT. We'll eventually make it to this list. And then beyond that, you've got anywhere from 2 to 5 capacitors on the neck board, and then 12 to 15 on the power supply. Okay. So those are what we're looking at. Now, these, a couple of these were really nasty. Okay. Like this one. But the worst. I knew I spotted the problem pretty instantly when I just opened the chassis and I saw this capacitor. Just take a look at this particular capacitor. Let me get a little light. Hopefully we can get a little bit better focus on that. Move my microphone. There we go. So it's not that easy to see, but it's it's not round. It's dried up so bad that it's flattened all over it. It looks like a 8-sided screw at this point, and it just feels dry. Like it's got air voids. It's got like air pockets in there where I'm just squeezing it. You see how it's deformed here? So I saw this, and this was cap. Which one was it? It's on this list. Let's see, it's 16447. It's this one, 572, which is the one that causes vertical deflection failure. And then there was a couple others that didn't look this bad, but were definitely gone. That's all of them in there. Not all these were bad, but they're all part of the cap kit. And now it's going to have, you know, whatever that is. 50 caps in it that are fresh. And the reason I'm really telling you about this before we even get started on this calibration is this thing would not be adjustable to its full potential without going ahead and having the rest of that work done. Okay. And this is something that I really want you to know. There's no problem with doing maintenance like this to your set. As far as having it done professionally, make sure it's done right. If you don't have the personal skills to do it, it's better to save up and have somebody like myself do it, like me do it for you, if that's really what you want. Because if these monitors start to fail, and they do eventually fail, it could damage so much of the monitor that it's unrepairable. So it's always better to do preventative things. This kit is pretty much going to be solid, like I say, with throwing it into nearly every one of these M series and then doing it if you can get it done right. Now, this is very tricky. You got to have expertise with soldering technique, but if you do, this is one I would consider doing if you're going to use these monitors in any kind of regular use. That way, it will give you the best adjustability to what you'll see, what we're going to work through now. All right, so this is the time. Let's see, timestamp 18.5 minutes. There you go. I'll put the time stamp below. I'll write that down somewhere. Well, whatever. I'll remember. So, remember that. I'm going to take a drink here. Maybe I'll give it a couple more seconds to just go for an even 19 minutes. How's everybody doing out there in the chat? I'm sorry I've been rambling, not paying attention much right now. If you have questions, do save them and throw them down towards, we'll get to some questions here later, and hopefully I'll cover what you need. In the meantime, let's get ready to get rolling now. Okay. One of the things that I really emphasize using is the right stuff to calibrate. You could use what we're doing today. I'm using a Super Nintendo. It's actually the Super Famicom variant. I've got the SD to SNES here hooked into it, RGB coming out of it. This one is not modified. It has been restored and recapped. It is a good friend, or it was a gift from the good friend of the channel, Mr. Belmont. That's what this is. So Japanese variant Super Famicom to go with the Japanese variant PVM. RGB out, and that's it. And then we're using the 240p test suite to test, which I think everybody knows about that. So that's what's on right now. It's just on the scrolling pattern. this is your screen you love to see. So what I'm going to have to do now is just move this monitor closer, but I need to do so safely since it's open and turned on. Now, since we're going to be doing a lot of moving around and things, and I don't want just dead air background noise, I'm going to add a little jazz today. So let me go in here, go to do some jazz, and we can get rolling. Ooh. All right. I apologize. That was a little louder than I'd thought. All right, let's get rolling. Yeah, the good thing about these tape measures like this is that they are flexible, so no matter what type of tube you're using, you can use these and get in there and really do that. So let's do some analysis here. What I'm going to need to do is make sure I didn't just blow that camera up, which I didn't. And we'll flip it back. Flip it back. There we go. There we go. Now, don't want to lose it. Of course, I just lost it, right? Hilarious. All right, let me move it into place. Should just have to hopefully deactivate it, turn it back on, but we'll see. Yeah, there we go. I think I need to retire this camera. I'm just so... I've got so many things that I need to fix and repair, and tools that are more necessary that I'm trying to get. But then the other tools I've been using are starting to wear out on me. All right, now we can wheel this lovely girl here a little closer. Which should be there. There we go. All right, it's a little better, right? You're gonna get some moire pattern, of course. There we go. You can turn some lights down, see how that looks. Ooh, I don't know, that's getting a lot of moire there. Look at that. See, any closer? Problem is I'm running out of space, so I'm gonna move a little bit. This one doesn't look good. We could switch cameras. We need to. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice moire there. Move this one up here. All right. Here we go. Now this one, as I said, I haven't adjusted it, but it's got pretty good geometry to actually start with. Oh yeah. All right, let's go into some test patterns. Now I know a lot of you like to use this pattern. Which one is it? It doesn't matter. It could be one of these two. But I get this, not probably this one, because it shows most of the screen. I get this one a lot sent to me. Yes, yes. Welcome in, please. Please, guys, if you haven't already, drop a like for us. Drop a like for the calibration, for the jazz. Brought to you courtesy of RetroTech. Now, I used to use this grid like a lot of you do. I used to use it a lot, but this grid is no longer what you want to use, really. It's much better to use this. No, not that one. Sorry. This one. Plus, this one's dimmable. Okay? It's dimmable. So you press on this controller, you press the A button, and it just starts to dim it and dim it and dim it. And I'm wondering, I'd like to get this kind of level. I wonder if I can get a block to lift so you can see a level playing field and put it under the CRT so I could lift it up a little bit so you can get a little bit better view of this straight on. Let me see if I can do something. Okay. Turn the lights on. Turn the monitor off for a second. And then I'm going to lift it. I'm going to put it on top of this box real quick. And that way, as it sits on top of there, we can look at it more eye level on this camera. Oh yeah. How about that? So give myself a little bit less dangers. I'm going to move the power supply back. Should be doing this. Definitely don't do this part. Hey. All right, there we go. Make it a little safer for me. Now the power's all off and everything, so don't worry about that. Let's see. A little more on that. Something like that. Yes, look at that. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Okay. Much better. Turn the power supply back on. Here we go. Turn it on. Ooh. There we go. Much better. Look at that. All right. There we go. I should do one more thing, and that is turn the focus on manual. Do that. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Now we're ready. So this is in here, and if I go to the monoscope pattern, you can see it much better here, like this. when you're looking at this pattern, it gives you a lot of boxes, obviously, and a lot of things to roll through and check here. One of the best things to do is to keep things simple to start off with. Go tap it all the way down to where you just see, mostly you can see the grid behind it, but mostly these red blocks, okay? You have the inner and the outer block. This one has, guys, this one is a service menu monitor. There are some potentiometers that will go through on the back of it, but for the most part, this is a service menu monitor. There are some things behind it, but that's the way it is. This is an M series, which I talked about a little bit earlier, as well as this is a Super Famicom going along with the M1J from Japan. We have a Japanese variant on today's show. And what we want to do is we want to try to keep these blocks looking like perfect squares. Now, we probably won't get them perfectly square, but that is our goal. We want to have this length equal to this length. And same thing, the outside, this length equal to this length. And that, my friends, is, by doing that, you have aspect ratio correctness, okay? You're making the aspect ratio proper. That's why this is better than the other screen of geometry, because when we set it according to this, the aspect ratio will be correct, and then none of our characters will look a little smushed or a little too tall. This is really the only way I know of to easily make sure your aspect ratio is good. So, just to give you an example, let's measure the aspect ratio here, and we will see what we need to adjust to get that cleared up. So, right here, it's probably difficult to see in the dark a little bit, but looks like I'm right at about 3, just under 3. Whoops, here. Sorry about that. Let's go. About 3.5. Okay? Maybe just under 3.5 to 3. Under that. Okay. And actually, if you look at that, we're pretty darn close to being within tolerance for aspect ratio. Hey, Dell. So that's, the easiest thing to do is to check that. You can even use a piece of paper and check that. Now you can use the rest of this grid to obviously do other things, like centering our image and stuff. So what we're going to do now is we're going to enter the service menu on this monitor, and we're going to start playing with those things. And we're going to get it set to a certain position, and then we'll go and make some more advanced adjustments. We're going to do that, folks, by doing some of the manual adjustments inside this PVM. All right. Let me get my chair back so I can sit down. Man, it is so tight in here. Oh, the studio. Wonderful, but it's tight. I don't want to go too far that way. There we go. Okay. All right. Make sure everything's clear. There we go. Now I'm going to need to readjust the focus. I apologize if it's been out of focus. for that whole shot. I'm not trying to drive you all crazy today, I promise. This should be just a relaxing stream. Should have some good times. Good times. There we go. Let's try that. See if that looks any better. It's a little better. There we go. Now, to get into the service menu on this monitor, what you do is you're going to pull up menu, and you're going to have your standard monitor menu right there. Interesting. You can see in here we've got some very basic settings to shuffle through. Aspect ratio on this one. We have multiple coupler temperatures. It's pretty standard right there. We have a chroma setup, which is an automatic color adjustment for the chroma key, which we're not actually using because we are in RGB mode, and a status, which just tells us what's going on. There you can see the model, some of the setup stuff that we're currently on right there. Okay. So to get into the service menu, we have pressed menu here. We have the regular menu up. Then we're going to press degauss and enter, which are the two buttons down here, simultaneously. Press them together while that other menu's up. And now we've pulled up our sub menu. And now we have access to all the secret controls, which is over like 90 different controls to do things on this CRT. Now, first I need to show you how to actually navigate your way through that. Okay, you're going to have whatever you're working on is going to be listed at the top of your screen, right up in this area. And I know a lot of you know this, and this is redundant to you, but we're going to just talk about it like this so that anybody who comes along and has a question can understand what we're doing. Now, to navigate through this, you use menu and enter. Down here where my fingers are, you go up and down that way, and then you adjust your value. Let's go to something we need to adjust. Now, this one was set number 50 for some reason. I have no idea why. It was left on number 50. We go all the way down, just hold it down, go all the way down to number 1, and we're not going to make a horizontal frequency adjustment because that's a pretty darn, delicate adjustment. Don't make that adjustment most of the time, I tell people. I'm gonna go up, video phase, but what this is 50. 50 is not my region. My region is 60 because I'm in NTSC territory. I'm at, if you're in PAL territory, you need to use the 50s, okay? You need to use the 50s. If you're using PAL, I am not using PAL. So I will be skipping past that and moving into the 60s. This is video phase. Video phase is a fancy word for horizontal center. So you can adjust horizontal center in here. Let me show you. It's simple. We have it pulled up here. We have our grid here on the screen. And if we want it to go this direction, we just press down on that and decrease that value. You see that value right there going down? We decrease that value and it moves horizontally. So let's go back, keep going, and it'll just move on this way. Okay? If we go down here, now I want you to notice something. Do you see that blip up there if you're watching this number? Let me show you what I mean. If we go there, boom. You see this? You see this little triangle that's pointed towards the number? That's the current setting that is saved in your menu. So if you don't know where you started, that will tell you where you started. If you don't like what you've done, you can go back and find that setting and go back to that setting. Okay? That's just a way to work through this to know that. Now, if you make a change, you must save your settings. So again, we need to do that by doing one simple thing. Let's say we move this, okay? It's 122 right now, but it is too far that way technically right now. So I want it to go back this way. So I'm going to press down on this, and I'm going to roughly center this image like that, where you can see both sides. 99. Well, I need to write that in the memory. To do that, I'm going to go over here to the Degas button, where my finger is, press it once, and it's saying, are you wanting to write this? It hasn't been written yet. So it's got to be pulled up. It's got to say write. Press it again. You get another asterisk. And boom, your triangle has moved. You have permanently changed this in the memory. So now if you get out of this menu, or you turn the monitor off, that's been written into memory. There's the only way you would then know what the old setting was is if you wrote it down before you made an adjustment. So if you're super concerned, you can always write down the value of an adjustment in some notes and do that, and you will save yourself some pain and suffering if you decide that you don't like the calibration you've done to your set. So we're here, we're at 99. That looks really good for this set right now. Another thing is when you're going through and you're recording totals on your notes, notice over here this says 5. Well, that's because this is the 5th entry. As we go up and down, it's just 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you don't have to go right, oh, nor def, VBO, and then 43. You can just write 15-43, okay? So that way it takes it a little bit simpler on your notes. Excuse me as I take a little drink, take a little break. How's everybody doing out there? Are you bored to tears yet? Right? Everybody with me? How are we doing? Phew, I know. Sometimes I just get annoyed hearing Steve talk all the time. Only Steve's voice. Right? Here we go. We're back in. We're back in. Okay. I want to show you something else. Now, when we're dealing with geometry, which geometry is the shapes of the screen, the shapes on the screen. This is not the colors. This is not the sharpness. This is not the beam alignment. This is geometry. This is how things look on your screen in a geometrical thing. That's what we're talking about specifically here. And if we look at this CRT service menu, let's scroll through these settings. We cap out there at number 17. Okay? So this is deflection, vertical angle. Some of these, lower vertical bow, vertical linearity, sexy, upper pin, amp, size, center. You notice that once we go past frequency, video phase, and then vertical size, we are getting rid of the 50 and 60. Okay? So now you're just getting into a single setting, so this should be universally the same. There's not multiple settings beyond what we see right there. So again, just horizontal frequency, video phase, vertical size for PAL and CCAM. Horizontal frequency, video phase, and V size for NTSC. Now we go past that. We're in vertical center, which is just the same thing. It's video phase for the centerness on the north and south, or the up and down side of this monitor. So you're going to individually enter those to make adjustments here on vertical center. Then we can go up from there, and I'm going to show you each one of these. We got horizontal size, which just shrinks and expands that. Pin phase, pin amp, lower pin amp, upper pin amp, sexy, vertical linearity, vertical bow, lower vertical bow, vertical angle, and that's it. Okay, those are all deflection settings. All deflection settings. Once you go past that, you do have deflection settings you'll see there, but do you see this? This is for our underscan. So this video monitor has underscan mode. It has individual settings for the underscan. Okay, so right then, number 18 is, now we're in vertical size for PAL and CCAM, and now we're in vertical size for NTSC on number 19. Number 20 is horizontal size for each region, pin phase, pin amp, and that's it. It's very limited. The different, same thing with 16:9. You can go in and adjust a few of the deflection settings on there for the underscan and the 16:9 mode on here. That all can be adjusted. Then once you get past that, I need to go up. Excuse me. Then you start getting into, which is funny, this says component subphase. So this is from a, if you had component video, which maybe it's enabled, maybe you could enable it in some way on this PVM. It's got some settings in here for it. But that's when you start getting into the color stuff. Number 31 and above. You can see we've got stuff here for settings. This is all stuff we are not working through. This is color stuff. And you're either doing this by using this, you're either doing that using this software and just your eyeballs, or you're going to use professional gear that's much more detailed. And there's much more information available on that. That's not what we're going through today. The color is way too crazy. So we're going to go back down to our zone of deflection. And we'll start, we know what we've gone through so far. I know a lot of people are really interested in sexy, I keep seeing in the chat. It's not going to make this thing like don a dress and dance for us, I don't think. It's just going to change the it's just going to change the midsection for some reason. It's just going to give it a slimmer or thicker waist. All right. I know, right? We're such a bunch of nerds dropping through just service menus on this old CRT. It's ridiculous, but what can you say? So, things that we cannot affect from the menu on here, okay? So you can kind of see there, those are the settings we've got available. Maybe this would be a good time, if I can, to find an adjustment page, if I can find that manual. So let me pull up a service manual. And when I do that, I can show you what a lot of these different settings actually do according to the menus and stuff. Like we'll get an actual view of that adjustment in action. I don't even have the right CRT here, but that should not matter. This one will probably just have more controls. Then let me show you what I'm looking at. So first off, let's see here. Turn the light on for a sec. We're looking at what these adjustments do, and then we'll go in and make the adjustments. All right. There we go. This just happens to be a great diagram of what's going on here, okay? This is a great little diagram that will tell you if you have a certain problem on your screen, what you should be looking at to adjust it. Now, this is the 14L5, so it's got some different settings than ours that they're going to call different things, okay? Like para control. So I should have found this monitor's M series. But you got, if you have lines like this, it's actually going to be vertical angle. That's what we'll use to address a line issue like that. If we have a trapezoid, let's get in here even closer. So this is our pin phase will be this adjustment if it's different like this, and I'm going to simulate a lot of this so you can see it on the screen. But that's what this does: side pin and pin balance, vertical linearity. Okay, I know that it's just a brief look at them, but that's what each of these does. So let's go back to our camera, turn the lights down, and we'll start to make some adjustments. The sun's really come out here behind my setup, and I wasn't really anticipating that. Apologize for that. Next time I'll have to block that out because it's coming right into the screen. So let me go back here, kind of get that brightened up so you can see a little bit better. Maybe if I put some dark stuff down here on the, block the sun a little bit. So yeah, it's not really looking good. Yeah, move it a little bit, that'll be better. Okay, it might help a little more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by my key here is I want to be able to see everything in my field of view. So what I really want to do is I want to shrink everything down, and I don't care about the aspect ratio. That's one of the last things I'm going to be worried about is the aspect ratio. What I want to do now is I want to decrease the size of this screen overall so that I can see every edge and judge it. That's really what I want to do right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get in, and my first setting is going to be, is it horizontal size or is it's got to be vertical size on the 60s. So I've got vertical size. I'm going to decrease the size so I can see all 4 of my corners completely in view. So you guys can see the top coming into view. The bottom still is not fully into view, but that's where we're going. So we're going to keep going down. Now, as I do that, I don't want to go too far down. What I'll do is I'll go to center, which is up 1 setting, and then I'll adjust that a little bit so that hopefully I can see mostly every corner. And what you need to know is that there's not going to be a perfection on your screen. Honestly, the way this looks now is pretty darn good. Now I can do some side adjustments and get it dialed in, but as far as like the 4 corners thing, check this out. When I have this thing sized like this, the corners, you can see pretty flat down here. You can see this line's really flat and good flat down here. But up here, it's leaning a little bit. It's leaning a little bit. And it's a little wonky. I mean, it's not perfect. Again, it's an imperfect format. So what I really personally have a more preference to set it so that the top line is flat, and that may drop down one of these 2 corners. Okay? So the only way to do that is to move the deflection yoke, which I'm not really going to show you a tutorial on how to do that, I guess, right now, because you're just going to have to do that manually. So I should just be able to turn that a tiny bit. See that? And I don't really even have to get that. Actually, look at that. That lined up really good both ends. So you can still see all 4 corners. That's really good to be able to see all 4 corners evenly like that. I mean, we're going to expand this out some eventually, but the best thing to do is to decrease it in so you can see everything on your screen. Because when you properly aspect ratio this out, a lot of this data is going to be shoved out of your viewpoint. It's still going to be data on the screen, but it's going to be shoved out of the viewpoint, okay? I can't believe how sunny it got. I'm gonna need to go outside and like put a screen up behind that window, because I can't even see the screen's adjustments anymore. Okay, we got vertical size done. Horizontal size will do the same thing, but I can show you something cool with horizontal size. Is again, we're gonna push this stuff to the edge. And that will help us see what our imperfections are. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this right here, guys. I'm going to go try to put a screen up in front of this and get that sun blocked out. Hey, Keith. Let's see if I can get that sun blocked out. Squirrels will probably try to steal my blanket. All right, I need a way to fasten that, and we'll get this put up there. Good old push pins. Here we go. No, an idea. It's not working. Maybe I can come in here and get it to stick. At least in front of our screen enough. Get some nice sticks in there. Great. Let's vacuum the shop out too. Oh my. Oh my, my, my. Block the whole thing out. That's better. Much better. There we go. All right, cool. All right. And we're back. We are back. So, you can see the screen much better now with that glare gone. And microphone stands. Microphone stands. Getting a little loose. Everything almost right here. If I can get this. I mentioned we're live. We are live because there we go. Back at it. All right. Sorry for that little break. Got everything in view here, and this way we'll be able to see our sides a little better. And I'm going to push the sides out. So I'm in horizontal sides right now. I'm going to expand that. And this will give you guys a better grasp of what some of these other settings actually do. Look at it here. Check it out. Our edge line here is visible right now. But if we go down here, it becomes invisible. all the way down to the edge. Now, if I go over to back to video phase, horizontal center, and I push this to the other side, check it out. We have the opposite effect going on. We have this corner coming in, while this corner is gone, right? So we got this corner off. So it's like, it's tilted slightly. And if you look at this center line, you can kind of see how it's tilted this way, right? It's like a clock arm. It's a little slightly tilted like that. Just like we were told in the manual for vertical angle. So if I go just simply over to vertical angle, let's see what happens. Vertical angle is like our last setting. Vertical angle. If I go over here, I want you to be able to just watch this line closely over here. Let's see what happens. So I increase. Oh, that's at 0. That's actually making it worse. Let's go back to 15 to 20. Look at that. Do you see what's happening there? So we were at 15. Well, if we go down here to something like, heck, even 24, from 15 to 24, we're way more balanced, right? I mean, it's not perfect. We have a different issue where we have bowing a little bit, but I see the same amount of edge on this side. Let's go over here to this side and see what it looks like after making those adjustments. And as I say, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go, I haven't saved anything, but I'm going to go back down to video phase, and then I'm going to move to the other side and see how that vertical angle adjustment looks on this side. And I'll be doggone. Look at that. It's darn near pushed that straight as an arrow where you can see both. You can see all four corners now. Do you guys get a little bit better grasp of that? Also, this line up the center is really straightened out a bit. So I think that as far as vertical angle is concerned, this is set really good. If we need to go back to it, we can always go back to it. But for now, I'm going to leave it, and I'm not writing that adjustment just yet. And if you got questions, again, I'll try to get a question period here at the end, but for now, I'm just going to keep rolling through this stuff, and hopefully I'll address exactly what you want in my thorough talk here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get the image more centered. So I'm going to go back down to my video phase, and I'm going to push this back towards that side a little bit. I'd like to see as much as possible. I'd like to really see lines on both sides, similar to that where like half the line is being intersected by the actual visual line there on the edge. Okay, so 87. Let's see how 89 looks. We're getting over there too much. Here's what I want to do. I want to go to 88, and then I'm going to do the size a little bit up. Oh, yeah. Okay. If I do that, that's pretty good. And then maybe... yeah, and then maybe go down to video phase. And we're going to center this where they're intersecting, because now you'll be able to see some of these other things we've been laughing at. I swear. Okay. So there you go. There's some basic
that's some basic stuff. We're working on this image like it's a cube. We're taking extra long time to fluff grandma's pillow. This is like the pillow that's on top of grandma's bed, and you're making the bed after spending the night, and you know she's crazy about the pillows. You want to make this pillow as nice as possible, so you got to get all these edges correct, okay? Get it looking perfect. But that's what you're working with, is a pillow. It's not just something that's a modern flat screen. Get us back into center view. Now, what I want to look at next are the pin controls, the sexy controls, and the linearity controls. Okay? Now, when I'm working through this, my next one to work on, in the order that I like to do it personally, is going to be vertical linearity. Some monitors are going to have more features for linearity. This one only has a single linearity. Okay? The linearity here, I use this ancient, old version of this test pattern because it still has this circle pattern in it. Everybody dropped the circle pattern eventually. I still like the pattern for vertical linearity. So there's only one vertical linearity setting, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to make these circles as round and circular as possible. This is more of an eye thing. You can measure it and make sure they are, but what you're going to notice is as you make these, as you tighten these up top, make them tighter and more round, down here they'll start to get more egg-shaped. They'll expand, they'll get more egg-shaped. Same thing with this big circle in the middle. It's going to move funny. So I'm going to start just swinging through the controls on here, and so you can see what that actually looks like as it happens. We're 150 right now. I'm going to go up first, and you see how that's pulling and making these look awesomely round, but look what it's doing at the top up there. Wow, that's way off. That's our top setting, but these are nice and round down here. So I'm going to go down a little bit. Let's go lower than 150 and see how it looks. I'm actually... Oh, now you see, look, the bottom fell off. We got like a Shrek face or something going on here. And, you know, you got ogre chin is what you got. So we're going to go back up. That's way, way too low. Whoops. Sorry, wrong button. There it is. Okay. Let's go back up. Ooh, we're getting better, getting better, getting better. Gosh, I'm liking it better more and more every day. Man, it's hard to argue with the 150 because it starts to really bust out at the top. Let me see what it looks like a little bit lower. I don't know, what do you guys think? That looks like warped at the bottom to me. We're going to go 148. I'm liking the way that looks. But this is what I like to adjust it by. Just that, pretty much, okay? You can also put this in underscan mode and try it, see how it looks for that linearity. But that is one of the patterns I just love for checking linearity. You can also use this pattern to check linearity. It's the same principle where the squares are square. It's just, for me, it's a lot harder to see it with so much on the screen. How are we all doing out there? Good, we're grasping what we're going through so far. So now we've made it through vertical linearity and vertical angle. Now we can move on and clear up some corner stuff. So this one doesn't appear to have problems with it, but there are these two vertical bow positions. Lower vertical bow is only going to pertain to this section from basically this point down. This point maybe down. Okay? Vertical bow is going to be the entire screen. And what's going to happen with vertical bow? We're at 43 now. Let's see how this looks as I go up and down on it. Okay, it only goes up to 63. But do you see? Watch that. Again, everything's bowing. So if you have a bow where you kind of look like a bow for a bow and arrow, one direction or the other, this is what you're trying to chase that down with. Whoops. And fix it with. I can't really see that well. I don't think this had a vertical bow problem. But if you do, you can use that, and then the bottom correction It's going to do the same thing, only the bottom half. I mean, it's very light, the amount of movement. Do you see it down there? You see how it's scooting back and forth down there where my thumb is? Let's go back to the original setting. I think it's set pretty good for that from what the factory had, because I could see all the four corners. Nothing looks curved and wonky too bad. So I really like that. And we're just going to leave those alone. That's the two bows. If you have a bow problem, that's where you're going to try to chase that down with. Everybody's wanting to know about sexy. All right, sexy is really just this center area right here, okay? Just the center area. I might need... Oh, I know, Keith, none of these are really perfect, right? Good enough is what I call it. You know, anytime anybody gets too crazy about saying, oh, this CRT doesn't look perfect, I try to remind them that CRTs aren't perfect. So there's a certain point in this thing, and this CRT is pretty darn close, even for itself, where you just need to stop adjusting it and go play on it, right? Just kidding. I appreciate your telling me that, though, because like I say, I mean, there's a bunch of these that, right, they're not technically as good as if we had testing equipment, but finding the testing equipment just isn't that easy. That's why we're so lucky to have this pattern that you made. Keith made this pattern, by the way, and then everything else that the whole 240p test suite's given us for this, because we'd be kind of screwed without it. Okay, back to it. Sexy. Sorry for that tangent. Let's do some sexy. As I go up on this, you just watch and see if you guys can tell what's getting larger. I told you it just pertained to the midsection, okay? Just the midsection. Do you see this? Look at that weird, wonky corner right there. Now, that's the max. As I go down, that straightens out that line and it'll pinch in almost like a tight hourglass. See? See what it's doing right in here? It's like you got a rope around the screen and you're just pulling it together. Or you're stretching it out. And it's so weird because generally speaking, this isn't off. Most of the time, it's not off. Occasionally it will be, but not most of the time. You don't have to do sexy. It's just a weird thing, right? It's just tightening the center, making that waist tighter, or loosening that waist out. But the main goal remains the same, to line these cubes up, try to make them straight. Now, pin amp and lower pin amp, that's just going to be isolated upper, lower. I don't really need to show you upper and lower pin amp too much, because I can show it to you on pin amp, which is the main pin amp control. This is probably what you're going to need. Man, how did I get that camera back? Or that glare back in the screen? Anyway. Let me zoom back out a little bit. Yeah, that's the truth. I try to tell people don't spend all your time adjusting your screen, because really you can't make it perfect. Even a BVM, like perfect BVM is not perfect. It says so from Sony. It's like 97%. It's not going to get better than that. Here we go. Screen's back to pretty good. We got pin amp control we're looking at right now. Pin amp is going to be your hourglass, main hourglass. Watch as I do this. As I expand that, do you see? Let me go down on that. See it really well on that red. You see how it's starting to make it look like the hourglass figure? What happens is this setting will either drift or the caps will drift in these pin control caps, and then you have to tighten this up till the cap eventually dries out so much that it fails, and then you look at the screen and it just looks blasted out like this, like maxed out. But as you go in there and you adjust that, you know, you're up there, you're looking for, again, we want the square. And you can play with the settings and get this dialed in. What was it at before? Did anybody see it? There it is. Flash. The 136. If I go up from there, watch what it does. It becomes a globe. See how it becomes a round globe? And some of them will have more extreme looks than this. So if you have the globe look, you decrease the pin amp. If you have the hourglass look, you increase the pin amp. Okay? And what the other ones do is it's just isolated to the lower section only that you're fine tuning. So you're just adjusting the lower one. If you need to fine tune it, and it's like, well, this one's not quite balanced and the top doesn't look so good. Same thing with the top, right? It's hard to see that, but you can tell that it's going back down and it's off. Go up. It blows out. Bam. Let's go back to the settings it was on. We're leaving it on that for now. That's upper, lower, and regular pin amp. The only really thing that remains is pin phase. So this one's quite simple also. It's gonna just, it's like the plane of your pillow. You're either gonna push the plane where the bottom shoots out at you, which makes the top where my thumb is look like it's further away from you, or you're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna tilt it to where the thumb looks like it's bigger and closer to you and top, and the bottom fingers are out of view. So that's what it's doing. It's doing this. Watch what I mean. So let me get a good one there. Go up on this pin phase. You see that movement there? How it's gone like this? It's like my hand right now. Instead of being flat where you want to see everything normal, it's bowed out. So the bottom, everything's going to look funny. Everything look up top's going to look funny. If you go back down, it can do the opposite of that. And you see that now? It's pretty like that. See that? Like that. So you're just playing with that plane when you're on the pin face. I know one of these buttons is just go back to whatever the setting it was. I can't remember though. Let's just do it manually. There we go. Okay. So there you go. Now, if you happen to have a CRT with these abilities to do this, this is going to be the same thing, even if it's not a PVM. All right. So now we've got all that kind of dialed in. I'm going to tell you the last thing here now is we can go back to our aspect ratio where we started, so we can adjust our horizontal size and center and vertical size and center. And what am I going to do here? I'm going to first, I want to expand this vertically to get to a comfortable place vertically. I don't need to measure anything to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go vertical size, and I'm going to expand that. And as you see, that line disappears. That's where we were originally. I know that I like to have my screen where it's something like that. Okay? That's a personal preference. It does not matter. You can go smaller than this and have the visible data all the way if you want. I like it like this. Tiniest bit of overscan. Tiniest bit. But that way we can see everything. We get good data in all corners. They're all pretty darn even. If you zoom in here, you'll see that you could see the two dots above the main dot on every corner. That's amazing. Same thing up here. You're getting more data up here because the screen's curved out. So the highest points of data are the top and bottom here. You're seeing about the same amount of information on both sides, and it's really centered, really greatly centered vertically. So that's set. Now, this is where you come in and the screen gets down, and you really use this to dial in these last parts on your aspect ratio. So this vertical size has me at a little bit larger than what we were before, I think. 3, and that's 1/4, 3 3/8. Okay, so what I'd like to do here, let's go and get this to 3 3/8, which it may already be on. Let me see. No, it looks a little bit, no, wait. Oh my goodness, we're too big in the middle. A little bit. See, we're at about 3. We need to go down horizontally a little bit. So pull that screen back up. Our screen needs to go there. We need to go over here to horizontal size, and we need to decrease our size a couple of points. I'm gonna say like 98 might be right. Let's try that again. Still a little bit too large. Well, we're almost there. Might have to go all the way down to 91. I'm really liking that. That's really in there. So what that does though is that's going to give you guys the option here that if you feel like something looks a little bit wonky on here, you can increase it then. You could increase, now it looks a little bit different from the angle. I think we're looking at it a little bit, there we go, maybe a little bit less flat of an angle. There, that's a very flat angle there. Okay. And so that's it. That's really kind of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this data in here. Okay. Now, look, this is all quite known, but when you use different consoles and different inputs with analog video, you can have a center shift along the center axis. So if it drives you crazy, come into this sub menu and just adjust your video phase and center it back up. Because if I plug in another different console in here through RGB, it's going to move left or right a couple of clicks. Okay, so again, you could do that. You could even decrease this a little bit more, but then you're going to end up with a lot of real estate on your side here. If you want it, you could do that even. So that's, but this is pretty close to where I would normally set this thing. I may actually go down one on each. Let's see, down 90. Yeah, 166. I even like that a little better. And look, I'm going to write this info because I like the way this looks right now. So I'm going to write all that data. Okay? And that's all you do is write it and you're in. And folks, we have really done our due diligence here and we've got this. I mean, just look at how awesome. This is nothing again to do with the color. This is all about our geometry that we've gone through. And that's really it. Okay? You can see, goodness, this thing has some even balance. The colors are really balanced. All right, now the thing is, if you pull this screen up here that we talked about before at the beginning of the show, it shows you that it looks pretty good, but you have no idea, right? You look at this screen and you think, oh my goodness, I'm too big vertically and I'm not big enough horizontally. But the truth is, if you expand that out evenly, you're going to have off aspect ratio, right? You understand? If If you've balanced that based on this screen, your aspect ratio is going to be wrong. And if you're like driving yourself nuts with calibration stuff, you'll be losing it because you'll watch Mario and he'll look too chubby. So don't, folks, don't out aspect ratio your CRT, okay? Don't push it. These things are some amazing machines. They'll let you do some crazy stuff, like totally whack out the image. So that's it. That's my discussion on really deflection. Let's get some lights back in here. Let's get this on a video game. All right. That's not this. Now, if we get out of that menu, we could just go back. Whoops. We can just get out of it by pressing the button to get out of it, the menu button. Or not the menu button, sorry, the input button. That, and that all that you just saw me do, aside from that yoke tilt adjustment, which again, this is not meant for that kind of a video. That's the only thing that you saw that, or you didn't see on the video today. And I didn't really want that to be a part of it. This is all about deflection, especially in the service menu for this thing. I wonder what we're going to put on here. Let's see. Let's see how it looks. Let's see how it passes the Metroid test. What do you think? T94. Oh, I love it. I love mode 7. Don't you? A little grainy. A little dim. Oh, it looks so good. Oh my goodness, it pops. She's dancing. She's dancing for you guys. Amazing little thing. Now let me show you what I found. That there is an issue on this, unfortunately. Because after doing all this work, I noticed something. It's very difficult to tell, and I want to see if I can show it to you on the screen here. Now let Samus go through. I'll show it to you in a minute. But if you have any questions, you can answer, or you can answer. You can ask me about that now. If you did find today's video on calibration helpful at all, please leave me a like. And if you need any services, like a professional tune-up or restoration on your CRT, do check out the Patreon account, please. There is a link to that in the description for this video. This is a good one. Boom! Frozen. Okay. Let me go through. Yeah, baby, look at that. Well, someone's talking about Keith's talking about a bad voltage regulator, it sounds like. If it's bad voltage regulation, Simon, that you have on your thing, it might be the voltage regulator. So that doesn't really mean that it's the capacitor. The best thing to do would be to check the power supply voltage regulators. And if you're missing a specific power, what you can do is you can use your voltmeter, put it in DC, and check the output on your power supply. And if it's not outputting a certain voltage or a certain, 12 volts or 5 volts or 17 volts or 20 something volts, if it's not outputting that, you need to go and check to see if any of those voltage regulators on your power supply happen to be shorted. Because recapping it with bad voltage regulators, it won't fix the problem. You still won't be able to get power on. I hope that's helpful in what we're talking about a little bit there. Anyway, what do you think? What was your favorite part? The first 5 minutes of the video where you got to see Steve? The other Steve? In his video wall? I'm just kidding. I had a lot of fun doing this with you guys today. Yeah, that's what I would check. And then if it's not those regulators, you know, I'd check the resistors and diodes that are in line with whatever voltage it is. So if it's the 5-volt rail, just go to those, go right off that voltage regulator, and if it's still good, then it might be one of the diodes or the resistors right there. Or it could even be just a simple fact that the solder's gone bad on that thing and it's broken free. So it could be a bad solder. Those parts really get hot and break down, and that happens. Let's turn the lights back. All right, let's see if I can get in here and show you what I was talking about on the one bad thing about this particular monitor. Because I know we're not going to be able to fix it. It's unfixable. Unfixable. Oh yeah, there we go. Blinded by the light. Let's turn it down and make it brighter. Oh my goodness, that's not going to be able to show up on there, is it? Okay, it's very much... Okay, blue kind of shows it. But do you see there's some... I'm sorry, I know it's flickering a lot. There we go, stop. Where my finger is, how there's like these vertical lines of intensity, especially one hot one right here. This has gotten some odd burn in it. It's very difficult to see. This is actually one of the best screens I've seen for it on video, and I'm sorry again about the moire scrolling patterns, but this is at least showing that shadow. Very not noticeable on lots of stuff, but it is there. Since it's not obviously like, ooh, CRT number 1, test phase, like text written on here, and the tube is super clean, I'm not concerned with the fact that it has that little bit of burn, because I feel like that would be a waste of a tube to put a new one in here, but that's an issue that cannot be fixed, folks, unfortunately. But you see, normally you have a hard time. You may be able to notice that shadowing a little bit over here sometimes, but it's very difficult. All right, what can we do now, folks? What can we do now? What do you want to see? The scroll test. We're going scrolling. What about the vertical scroll test? Look at that 240p in action, baby. It's like you're almost playing Akari Warriors. Let's scooter back. Let's get back to my face. My lovely face. The future of this beautiful little CRT. Who knows? I'm probably going to list it up on my Patreon page for sale. It's going to be, since it's got the screen burn, it's going to be considerably less than if it didn't have the screen burn. I will tell you that. So, I definitely will account for that. Now, it does have an amazing amount of work done to it. We'll have a full restoration file with it, and it, like the hardware on it is solid as a rock. There's not a crack in the shell. There's not a scratch on the tube. It just has that little bit of shadow. So if I decide to sell it, I'll let you guys know. It'll be posted there on the Patreon page. There you go, folks. What else is happening? Well, I think that from the looks of things, we may have caught everybody up on everything they wanted to talk about. There are a couple of other things you can adjust internally, but I'm going to save that for a different episode, so to keep it a little bit less convoluted, I'll have this one just be pretty much deflection, and in another one that has bad convergence, we can look at convergence more. Things, because it's hard for me to simulate a lot of that on one that, you know, I don't want to break one to just make content on it. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me this Monday. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll try to catch up with Zez, and we'll see if we can't do a broadcast together. Do have some more stuff coming as far as videos, a lot of stuff to put together. May you all have a wonderful rest of your day and week, and I thank you for watching me today. If you happen to come in late and want to go back, again, there's a pinned comment at about the 20-minute mark where we finally got started on the actual process of this calibration. Thank you all again.